tissue donations so that it becomes mainstream and it becomes acceptable. There is presently 4,000 people on the waiting list. Now, more than 1,000 of those people will certainly pass away because in our country, we still have a big shortage. As a matter of fact, we're still ranking as one of the lowest in the civilized world. And that is very unacceptable to all Canadians that I've been talking to. Now, we can change this. We can change this by inspiring every Canadian about the importance of organ and tissue donations. And so far, I am here to proclaim that I've talked to hundreds of thousands of Canadians so far, and every Canadian I've talked to is willing and has a desire to donate their organs. Our efforts need to continue for awareness and education, and that is very important, and that's the one thing that we're aiming to do. The other thing is we're also aiming to encourage all three levels of government to make this issue more of a priority on their respective agendas. It's been too long in the not known to the levels of government about the importance. It should be up there in the top 5 of priorities on the government's agendas, and it is slowly getting there, but we need it to get there quickly. One of the things that we have been lobbying to do on this campaign is to encourage the federal government to make this issue a priority and to change the system. We have a very poor system in our country right now. We have missed out on too many opportunities because of our system. Too many people are passing away with organs that could have been donated and they haven't been, and it's because of our system. Too many times I've had families approach me saying that they are living with a lot of anger and regret because they were approached to make that decision at the worst time possible during a time of grief and shock after losing their loved one. They couldn't say yes at that moment, and they would have said yes any other time. So they're saying, for heaven's sake, let's change this. Let's not approach the families during the worst time possible, because they were supporting it a week before that, but they couldn't predict how they were going to feel that moment. So we need to look at that. We also need to look at all the opportunities that have been missed out because people weren't presented the opportunity about the importance of organ and tissue donations, and relying on people to sign that card and to discuss this matter with the family just isn't working. And once again, there's a lot of people that are passing away that would have donated their organs and might be turning in their graves right now knowing that their organs didn't get donated, and there's been too many missed opportunities with that. I recently came back from Europe, where I had the honor of having an audience with His Holiness Pope John Paul II, and he encouraged me to keep up this work and to not quit, and to remember that it is very important what I was doing, so that left me very determined. Also, I talked to a lot of organizations while I was there, including the one from Spain that leads the world in organ and tissue donations. And they have a system called presumed consent, where about 13, 14 years ago they developed this system because they knew that organ and tissue donations was a medical cure, and that they needed to make sure that there was always an abundance of organs available to their country people. And so what they created was presumed consent, and They educated their country about this presumed consent and then installed the system. And that system means that every person becomes an organ donor in their country unless they choose to take themselves off that list. And you know what? That would work in our country. And we got to look at the benefits. There's 4,000 people on the waiting list right now, and they're urging us to do this. There's people that might in the future have the misfortune to be on that waiting list, and they would sure like to know that we have the best system possibly going for us. And after all the Canadians that I've talked to, overwhelmingly every Canadian has been supporting that this should take place. So I want to hear a good argument why we shouldn't have this in place. So we're trying to encourage the federal government, we're trying to reach Mr. Rock and his policymakers to seriously look at this and start taking the steps and putting this in place. We feel that the benefit does not only go to the individual that receives the organ, the benefit goes to the donor family. Because after a donor family sees the results of their tremendous contribution from their loved one, their grieving is more comforted. And they have a sense that their loved ones are getting carried on in others. And why should we deprive them of that also? So we've been going from community to community trying to get this important message into communities, and we feel that we're at a point that the federal government has to start looking at this, and they have to start letting us know why they can't put that in place. I am glad that I had the opportunity to bring this up also, Warden, because this is very important. It's something that every Canadian should start thinking about. And it should be concerning every Canadian, because we all have rights, we all have freedoms, and the worst thing that can happen right now is that if one day we thought that our organs were going to get donated and they didn't, that would be the biggest sin possible, because not only 8 lives were not saved, but how precious is that to yourself of knowing that that didn't get carried out. We have more rights over where our houses and cars go right now than where our organs go. So thank you for the opportunity for letting me bring this out. We're going to continue marching through Nova Scotia. We're halfway through. We're hoping to meet the Premier and the Health Minister in Halifax on November 16th, along with the Mayor of Halifax. We're going to bring this to their attention. And I'm also going to find out if Jimmy here is the longest living recipient in Canada. Now, I believe that he is, because I've met thousands of recipients along the way, and so far, he's the longest living recipient I've met, and I don't know anyone else that has longer. So we're going to check that out, and we're going to prepare to make Jimmy a star. And I'm also very grateful to be in the company of Carolyn, who is noted as having the first heart transplant. And so sorry for the loss, but I'm sure that you felt those 12 years were very precious, and you know what this is all about too. With that, I want to thank the Terra Inn, is it? Which hotel? Where's Titi?
She's on the phone.
Oh, okay. I think it's the Terra Inn. They're helping us with accommodations for the next 3 nights. We're doing this on a zero budget, so we have to ask for everything. We're also using the Highland Square to distribute literature and donor cards and have people come and meet us there for the next few days. Anything else, Barbara J., that I'm missing for thank yous?